Welcome, everyone, to Career Happy Hour. You are telling me you're having a hard time sharing your story. You feel your story just doesn't matter. And it's difficult for you to find things to share because you feel like it's your job. Doing your job is something you're proud of, it's work, and it's something that you do every day, and you don't feel like there's anything special about it. Is that you? Then you're in the right place. I'm Andrew Beach. I'm a teacher of self-education. I help professionals communicate value to find great opportunities faster, whether you're working or not. That's through a pragmatic process to help you define who you are, to decide on paper what you want to do next, and lastly, to actually get into the practice of productively meeting people to find the great opportunities that aren't yet advertised. That is the 3 steps to career success process. So if you're interested in that, you're more than welcome to complete an application in the description below and take advantage of seeing whether or not working together it makes sense to us. So whether you're on Instagram, Facebook, let's see, we're on YouTube and LinkedIn and Twitter. We're on 5 different channels all at once. Doesn't matter what platform you're on. There should be something there that allows you to be seen or seeing the links that we have for you, the resources, most of which are free. I like free. And that's what Career Happy Hour is all about. This Friday, you have a chance to get your questions answered. If you have questions you would like to have answered here today, go ahead and put those in the comments or in the chat. Depending on the platform you're on, I should be seeing those through this Restream program. So go ahead and put your questions in there. This session is a whole lot more fun if we can actually get some of your questions answered. Now, it's important that you remember this is a community and that sharing this broadcast out makes a whole lot of sense. You don't have to do it publicly. You could do it in a private message to someone you think is going to get value from this presentation. You could do that. You could also perhaps share it to your networks or inside of a LinkedIn group or a private community. Doesn't matter. You could send it by text message. Doesn't really matter to me. But please share this out. We're trying to expand this community. Why? Because it's hard enough. It's hard enough to go through some kind of career transition or to find your next promotion or to learn about yourself or to be able to communicate yourself. It's hard. It's hard work. And we're here to make it easier. And part of that is giving you access to other people in this community. So if you would please, the main platform we're talking about here today to interact with people professionally speaking is LinkedIn. So please put your LinkedIn profile in the chat. That way people will see, hey, here's somebody, put their LinkedIn profile in the chat. They are open to having conversation with me, and I can reach out to them and they will most likely say yes if your ask is noble and practical. Noble and practical. If you're looking to sell things to people, that probably will not be met with receptivity. So you just keep that in mind. Now, what questions do you have? You can put them in the chat. It might be questions about your career or getting a promotion or defining your brand, which is somewhat the topic for today is how do I share my story? How do I find my story? How do I feel comfortable embracing my story so that I can then communicate that to other people? This is something I've heard many times this week. My story doesn't matter. It's just a job. It's just a work, if you will. So looks like we're having trouble with the autofocus. Sorry about that. Hopefully that'll come back. This is an issue that all of us have, me included, and a lot of people that I coach have this same problem. And so we're going to cover some things here today that really kind of simplifies and maybe brings it home so you can approach this concept with a little more receptivity, if you will, a little bit more approachable in this process. And so let's hop into the mini training, the mini webinar I'll be doing today, and you're welcome to add conversations or ask questions during the session, and I'll be doing my best to answer those questions. If you want to send direct messages to me, absolutely, that works too, so that I may not look at them during the live stream, but I'll certainly look at those after the fact. So I will go ahead and share my screen. And so I took I took a page really out of the playbook for flashcards. Now, when I had kids, I pardon me. I have kids, but when they were younger, we used flashcards to learn certain things. And so unfortunately, the folks on Instagram may not see these flashcards, but the title of today's session is Your Story Matters to the World. Now, I'm not saying that to be woo or to think that this isn't something that isn't important to everybody, but what I'm suggesting is that sometimes we feel like our story maybe only matters to us or to the job we're doing. It doesn't matter to other people. And I disagree. Your story, your set of experiences, your education, your tapestry of expertise, if you will, is important to the world. You have a role to play here. And I want you to know that that is the truth. And the truth shall make you free, as they say. But the first step, at least that I can see in this process, is not to be a sheep. Now, not that sheep aren't cute. I think my wife, as she would probably tell you, their family raised sheep, and sheep are animals. But the idea or the concept here is the metaphor of a sheep is that they kind of flock together and they go together. And the idea is in approaching understanding your story and why it's so valuable to other people is to not think it isn't, and not to be like everybody else. Elevate your standing above anything that you might see or hear. Don't think you're a commodity. You aren't. You are an exceptional resource for a lot of organizations, and there's a lot of things that you can do. You have a lot of capability. And the idea here is identifying what that is, and knowing that you are elevated above that process. That means exercising what may not be normal for a lot of us, and that is your curiosity. I often had, I don't know if you were like this when you were a kid, but I had dreams of flying. Anybody have dreams that they could fly? I don't know what that origin, I'm sure there's some psychoanalysts out there that could tell us about those dreams, but I had these dreams about flying. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to think what makes you fly, or what could be your dream, and use curiosity to drive that process. By that, I mean curiosity about things that you enjoy, curiosity about things you maybe don't enjoy, and what's the exact opposite. Curiosity about things that people are doing that you think are kind of cool. It's being curious. And curiosity will often lead you to things that you're interested in. Interestingly enough, the things you're interested in are also the things you're probably good at or that you would enjoy doing. And that's a sustainable process of finding that which gives you joy. So use your curiosity to your benefit. In fact, I did this a lot back in 2015 after my dad passed away. I had an opportunity to take a look at some different options. And believe me, I looked at a lot of different things. I looked at things in K-12 education. I looked at going into leadership, sales management, and inside real estate. So I looked at sales management and real estate. And then I also looked at coaching. Career coaching is something that I'm now doing. And so I looked at all these different options, but the key there is I followed things that I was passionate about, that I was curious in, that I wanted to make a difference. So look at your skills and your curiosity and see, how can I make a difference in that space? Now, the reason this is important is because if you're going to share your story, it has to be something that matters to you. And if we haven't looked at the things we're good at and the things that give us joy and the things that matter to us, then selling our expertise to somebody else is going to not only fall flat for us, it's going to fall flat for them. And believe me, we don't want you to fall flat. We want you to be excited. Don't you want to be excited? Isn't there something, I think about the first time I rode a roller coaster. I think I was just tall enough to go on the Matterhorn at Disneyland when I was a kid. I remember that. It was like a badge of honor to be tall enough to go on the Matterhorn at Disneyland. And I still remember I got off that ride and I was like, I want to do that again. So there was this excitement, this enthusiasm, this energy that came from doing that activity. And we can apply that kind of excitement to ourselves professionally. What is it that gets you excited to do the work that you do? There's plenty of things that I can point to. They're not hard to identify that I dislike. Okay. And it's often like, oh, well, it's work. It's supposed to be difficult. We're not supposed to like it. And I think that's hogwash. Of course, there's things in a job that aren't going to be optimal, right? There's downsides to every job where there's things you have to do because guess what? They have to get done. Now, the idea is that's a very minor portion of any job that you're involved in, that you're primarily in the zone of excellence, the zone of genius, and that you're really excited about the work you're doing. And most of your time is spent there, not in the things you have to do, because that's part of the job. And certainly all of us are a set of experiences, a set of capabilities, and our expression of that isn't everything that we know how to do. I know how to do a lot of things, and I don't talk about a lot of the things I know how to do. I talk about a lot of the things that I love to do. I love learning. I love teaching. I love solving problems. I love coaching, right? I'm talking about all the things that give me joy and that I want to share with the world because my story matters to the world and yours should too. Okay. Now, when you identify some of these things, it's often important to realize that the way you do it is different. And so sometimes people are thinking, well, I have to match up myself as an apple to an apple. I need to be meeting the needs of these hiring teams and the leadership in the company. And I have to be an apple to apple. They tell me apple, I need to be apple. And I disagree. I would do almost the exact opposite. If they're talking apples, I'm talking oranges. I'm talking orange. So when somebody presents you apple, talk about orange. Not that there aren't things that you can do in relation to what they want to have done, but there are things that you do better or different that would be valuable to them that they'd never considered. And the marketplace is changing so fast. There's new jobs being created every day, and the jobs of today may be gone tomorrow. So don't think that your set of skills or capabilities isn't relevant. It is. If you can consider yourself an orange in a bundle of apples, and people will be able to easily see you as I think there is a, I'm trying to remember who wrote the book. Somebody will probably tell me in chat, but it's The Purple Cow. Maybe was it Seth Godin, Purple Cow? It's the same concept, is that people can remember a purple cow. A brown cow, that's like every cow that's in existence just about, within a certain degree. But when you're thinking apples or they're thinking apples, you need to think about oranges. Is this going to be pretty and easy? It's likely you're going to crash. You're going to get in the bumper cars and hit the gas, and you're going to crash into other cars or other people, and it's not going to be pretty to begin with. Uncovering these things takes some energy, some effort, and there's no effort without reward. So if you put in the effort, you get the reward. If you don't put in the effort, guess what? Don't get the reward. So get in the car, hit the gas, and crash. It's not a big deal. It's a bumper car, okay? And what will happen is, as you start talking to people about this thing you're interested, as you start getting clarity around your story, it becomes better, and there's less collision. There's more provision, if you will. Less collision, more provision. You're welcome to borrow that phrase if you want to. But when you have fewer crashes and you start getting momentum and you feel good about your story, then you can share it with people without feeling sleazy, arrogant, that sort of thing. And a lot of people have trouble with this crash part, that they get so close to winning this game called the bumper cars, and they quit, they stop, or the game's over. They think the game's over. Well, guess what? You put in another ticket, you get another game. It's never over until, I suppose you're not working anymore, or you've left this great place for glory in heaven. I don't know, but the idea is you can be in this game as long as you want, and it's okay to crash. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. I would say participate, get in the car, hit the gas, crash as many times as is necessary for you to get to where you want to be in terms of your story and being comfortable sharing it. That's why it's so much more fun to be in these bumper cars with your friends. Okay. Not that you want to hurt them or anything. This is a fun game. If you're not in America, you've never been in the bumper cars, but I was always the competitive type, and I wanted to win. But there is, in this case, the only winning is for you, and the world is going to be able to hear your story. And so I don't see any downside to maybe thinking about the things you'd love to do, and documenting those in some capacity, or cataloging them, however you want to do that. I suppose you could do that on LinkedIn. But whatever tool you use, capturing your story is probably a series of chapters. Each chapter has maybe a point or a series of stories or experiences that you've had that matter to you. And when you catalog your successes or your accomplishments, don't do it because you're trying to brag or impress somebody else. In all things, impress yourself first. And then you can see how that would be adding value to others. And I don't mean in a selfish way, right? I mean, hey, let's reflect on this accomplishment or this experience and decide, what does that say about us? And are there other times I have done something similar in my career? And how do I feel about that? Now that may be like, well, I don't know how I feel about that. It's just my job. Well, so if it's just your job, what did you like about it? Well, I didn't like anything about it. Then we need to find out what that is. It's okay to advocate for your own happiness through the work that you want to do. There's nothing wrong with that. Get engaged with your history and pull out those things that matter to you. I did this research, I think about 7 years ago, and I was looking around for kind of, what was my purpose? What was my legacy? That sort of thing. And my aunt happened to send me a family tree. And I already knew my mom had taught school, and she was a helper in kindergarten. And she also was the secretary at our school in elementary school. And but I didn't realize, I kind of knew that my dad's parents were also teachers and that they worked in his high school. And so I kind of had a feel for that, but I didn't realize that in our family tree is a gentleman by the name of Clinton Bowen Fisk, who turned out to be the founder of Fisk University. And now I'm thinking to myself, in my DNA, in my history, in my, how would you say it, as part of my story, is this family of educators. And I get to say to myself, what does that say about me? What does that mean? How do I apply that? What do I want to take away from that that's actually valuable, not just to me, but to the people around me? And the other side of that is saying, okay, now that I know that maybe is something in my DNA or in my makeup, what do people think about me when I'm doing those things? So whatever you do, poll your audience and really think about what is the truth? What is the truth about your experience? So some of us, we don't share our story because we don't feel it's either valid or important, or we think it's bragging. And I don't have a problem with that. I don't like people bragging either. However, I'll ask you this: is it okay to tell the truth? And I don't know anybody who's ever said no to that question. Just tell the truth about what you'd love to do. Tell the truth about what you're good at. Tell the truth about your history and the application of effort that led to positive outcomes. Just tell the truth. It's like your biography. It's not bragging if it's the truth. And so if I see all these truths in my past, and I see all the truths that have led me to where I am, and I can pick out the ones that I feel fuel me on a daily basis, that give me juice, if you will, or energy, then I have come to a place of beauty and significance and wonder. And so utilize this session today to just kind of give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to tell your story in a new and different way that's not just compelling for you, but compelling for others. And I think you'll find that the process is really fulfilling. I've always had, a belief that in the early days of my career that work was work. I mean, it was supposed to be work. There maybe was some things you didn't like about it. You did your best and you applied effort and you worked toward a common end goal with other people, and you then were up for promotion. And I was silly to believe that my work would speak for itself, because it never did. What I didn't recognize until later in my career, that the quality and quantity of the relationships I had are the things that would have gotten me farther faster in my career. Not that the competencies don't matter. Not that my application of effort and my accomplishments and the quality of my work doesn't matter. It's just not as important as being trusted by people in a position of, I guess you could say, power or decision-making authority or that sort of thing, that can make a decision on me and my position or standing in an organization. So think about it from that way. Let's see if we got any questions here in the chat. That's all I have today for Career Happy Hour. If you have questions, put those in the chat stream here, and I'd be happy to answer. If there aren't any, then we'll call it a weekend, and you can have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Friday for Career Happy Hour. Remember, your story matters. And if you want to, go ahead and click the link down below in the description. If you want to see if coaching works for you, if you want some support in this capacity to find your story and to get better at telling it, I'd be more than happy to talk to you. So fill out the application below, and we can schedule time to chat. Okay, have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you next Friday for Career Happy Hour.